You're watching Diecast Breakdown with Chuck Ellis, David Johns, and Mark McHotwheel. So sit back, strap in, and hang on. The breakdown starts now.
Well, hey there, folks. Chuck here, and welcome to Diecast Breakdown. I am so glad you are with us today. Whether you are watching on the YouTube channel or you are listening on the audio feed, we are so grateful you're here. And while you're listening to me, thank you. Why don't you make sure you're liking, subscribing, all those buttons. If you've come to us for the first time and you want to talk more about tiny cars, we got a lot of episodes where we do that. And we talked to some really cool people. Some of them are going to be on this show today. And before we get to them, I want to thank my executive producer level patrons. That would be First and 64th Customs, Dane Self, DrivenDreams.org. Thank you, Mark. Jason, Mad Visions, Mr. Big Lou, Reviews Through Another Lens, TWYCE Diecast, thank you, David, and Video Geek Productions. If you want to know how you can join their ranks and why we say their name at the beginning of every episode, you can visit diecastbreakdown.com. where we have merch and social media and links to how you can help support the show. And of course, drivendreams.org, Mark's project that we are helping him with. That's really cool, where we're donating. What are we going for this year, Mark? What's the number?
2 billion?
20,000.
20,000. We're doing 20,000 cars for kids in need around the world. It's a really cool cause, and it's very easy to participate in. Visit drivendreams.org. And while we're talking about Mark, I'm going to introduce my co-hosts, my friends and colleagues that make this show go so much better than even I thought it would go. And that would be Mr. David Johns of TWYCE Diecast. David, how are you today?
I'm great. No place I'd rather be.
I'm so glad to hear that. And drivendreams.org, co-creator, founder. He's doing it with Kimber. Would you call yourself a co-creator with Kimber on this one?
Head
creator?
custodian.
Yeah. She's my right hand woman. So.
Your ride or die. So
for sure.
That would be
she's my
Mark,
better half for sure.
Yeah. All right, and that would be Mark Berenson of Driven Dreams, Auto Peak Detailing, Datsun Man, Diecast, and so many other things that you see on the internet. Mark, how are you?
So many. I'm doing great. Thanks, Jim.
All right.
How are you doing? You look fantastic.
I'm hanging in there, sir. Thank you for asking. Nobody ever asks. I'm just kidding. Anyway, all right. Well, we are talking to some really cool people that do really cool things with tiny cars. I'm very excited to have our guests on. They represent an all-new diecast brand in the form of IXO America. You may have heard of IXO and loved their products from around the world, but now they're setting down roots right here in the good old US of A with a completely new division. I don't know very much about it. I probably misspoke there, but we got some people that are going to help set me straight on this, and that would be VP of Sales, correct, Jeff?
Yes, that's correct.
Yes, VP of Sales for IXO America, Mr. Jeff Nelson. Jeff, thank you so much for being with us today.
Yeah, thanks for having us. Really appreciate it.
And Clint LaFollette, the lead designer, architect, creative spirit behind the designs that we're going to be talking about today. So, Clint, thank you as well for being on the show with us today. Really excited to chat with you.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate it.
All right, awesome. So, Jeff, we'll start with you as the VP of Sales guy, because I'm sure you've had to give this elevator pitch a few hundred times. But so you're getting on the elevator with somebody and they've pushed the 53rd floor. So you got 45 seconds to a minute and they go, what the heck is IXO? What do you tell them?
Yeah, so IXO was born over 20 years ago from a group that's based in Macau. And they have extraordinary market presence in both Europe and Asia, specifically very 1/43rd scale heavy. They also have some 1/64th and 1/18th. I've known the owners of this brand for a number of years, and myself, Clint, and one other gentleman were asked what we could do to help out in North America to expand the brand. Now, we all know 1/43rd scale isn't massive in the United States, but 64th absolutely crushes it. So our job here is to develop new 1/64th scale castings and bring them to life for the U.S. market, and also offer them overseas as well, just to really get the ball rolling here in the United States. And the cool thing is they didn't really have a whole lot of distribution for their open stock product here. And that's another way that we can offer their vehicles into the U.S. market and have them be a little bit more easily accessible.
All right. You have definitely given that speech once or twice. Awesome. This is why I always start with the sales guy, because he's got that locked and loaded in the chamber ready to go. So
we've been trained.
Yeah, absolutely. No, that's
muscle memory.
Super cool. So, well, I will defer to David on this one because I know he is. Now, you said IXO. Is it IXO or IXO?
Yeah, IXO, and actually the division that's out of Macau is IXO Model Cars. And then we are IXO America, a partner company with IXO Model Cars.
Gotcha. I've seen the name all over. I've seen the name all over the place. I've never actually heard it said out loud. I'm suddenly realizing, which means,
well, that's why we're here. That's why we're here.
Yeah, and I will say I had not heard of IXO before. My friend here, David, educated us all on it with his videos on Premium Diecast. So, David, where did you find IXO?
So, Clint, Jeff, my first name brand recognition, I was up at a Diecast distributor out of Frankfort, Kentucky. You probably know who it is. And I saw these amazing semi-trucks, Kenworths and other brands. And I said, IXO, who in the world is that? I just noticed that they are amazingly detailed. They were in 1/64 scale, and I had not seen that level of detail in that scale for that type of vehicle. I was clamoring to see if you guys had some cars at the time in this place that I was shopping at, and I didn't find any cars under the IXO brand. Come to find out, a lot of my favorite brands from around the world, you guys were the ones that did the castings, 20, 25 years ago. So many of our favorite premium brands use IXO castings that we don't know.
Question for Jeff. Do you see, how does IXO feel about chases, and is that something you guys foresee yourself doing in the future?
We'll be back with more Diecast Breakdown after this word from our sponsors. Legendary Hollywood concept artist and designer Fireball Tim Lawrence has created 3 exclusive pieces of automotive art based on the 3 hosts of Diecast Breakdown. Get these and other brilliant designs printed on mugs and more at fireballtimgarage.art today.
Cast Heads magazine is a digital publication dedicated to enhancing the lives of collectors all across the world by providing information on new models, reviews on brands and diecast accessories like figures and dioramas, throwing light on customizers, photographers and people who contribute to making the diecast world vibrant. Subscribe to Cast Heads for free and look for collaborations with Diecast Media Network at castheadsmagazine.com.
And now back to Diecast Breakdown.
That's a good question. We do recognize the fact that there are a couple of manufacturers out there that are kind of overproducing their chases. And so some people don't value them as much as others. Then we know that there's some out there that are making them very, very rare. So, what we would like to do is really take customer feedback and understand the end consumer to see what they want. We've got a little bit of time because we're still in tooling development on a lot of our 1/64ths that we really want to get that feedback. And I think another topic down the road in this conversation is going to tell us where we're going to get that feedback from. So it's kind of a wait and see type of thing because we really want to get it right.
Yeah. Well, that makes sense. I mean, you want the customer feedback to see what the pros and cons of their opinion of chases are, because some people are all about chases and some people like me don't really could care less about chases.
It's funny because sometimes when I talk to my customers throughout the years, I've been in the industry for 16 years now, and it's interesting because some of my customers will say, I love them, get me more. and other customers will want to return them. I can't sell these. They don't work for me because my customers just want what the car really looks like. So you definitely have two different ends of the spectrum there. And so we don't want to offend anybody and we don't want to leave anybody out. So we really do want to get that customer feedback because, in my opinion, it's really important to understand the end consumer and what they want before you just try to force something down their throats. So,
yeah, well, I respect that for sure.
And I love how Mark talked about that because we're talking about a line that we really hadn't told people what's happening. So, Jeff, Clint, tell us what IXO America means to collectors in America and what your products are going to be.
I'll start and then I can kick it over to Clint. Clint's not exactly the most vocal person, but I've worked with Clint for about 13 years, right, Clint? I think about 13 years, so I've known him pretty well. He's one of the best in the industry.
Thank you.
So what we're really looking at doing is as I said, develop a 1/64th scale line of, some cars that really have kind of been missed in the marketplace. Of course, we're going to have some crossover with a couple of castings that basically, every diecast manufacturer should have in their arsenal. But a lot of what we want to do is offer fresh, new castings that, I've gone to so many consumer shows where, hey, man, do you have this? Do you have that? And we're like, oh, man, no, we haven't even thought about that, right? So this gives us an opportunity to really spread our wings and be able to make things that haven't been offered out there yet. Or if they have been offered, maybe it's the wrong scale. This isn't really 1/64th. It's more like 1/50th or, 1/68th, or because these collectors, they know this stuff, right? Like you put two 1/64 scale castings together, especially like the Superbird, right? You throw those two together and one's going to be longer than the other. And then the question, well, who's really truly 64th and who's not? So, collectors have a very, very keen eye. And that's where Clint comes in. I like to call him our Rain Man of cars because you can ask the guy any question and more so out of more times out of none. He's going to have an answer for you. And if he doesn't have the answer, he's going to find it out for you within a day and get back to you. So, Clint, if you kind of want to chime in here.
No, that's true. I am a car guy. I was born and raised into car culture, so it's sort of in my DNA. Family vacations were to car shows, not to like Disney World or whatever, So it's always been a part. So I know a lot about them. It's just really easy for me to just sort of like dive into something and be able to pick it apart and know where to go and how to get all that done. I really pride myself on accuracy. I like to think of it as when I'm developing a new mold, I want it to look like I've hit it with a shrink ray. So it's just like, just make it smaller, but retain the detail and the accuracy. That's really important to me. Like, I'm a bit of a purist, so I want things to be, perfect.
Yeah.
And the really nice thing too about creating these castings that, we haven't seen before is the IXO model car guys overseas have been really gracious and really cool with us pretty much having a lot of creative control over this, which is great. So, when asked like, hey, which castings do you want to come out with first? I just peel back the curtain and say, here's Clint, let him have at it. And he had a list of like 50 cars to us like right away. It's like he had these things stored in his brain and all of a sudden, boom, there the list was. So,
I pretty much did.
Yeah. Kudos to those guys that are allowing, us to be able to offer these things to the U.S. market and internationally as well, but with a heavy focus on domestic OEMs. I think the end consumer and collector is really going to enjoy a lot of this stuff that, we've cracked Clint's brain open and kind of got everything out of there.
So we're talking about American makes and models in true 1/64 scale, if I'm hearing you guys right. And that's very exciting for a guy whose collection insists on it being true 1/64. I can appreciate that. I don't want my Corvette to be the same size as my Ford Fiesta. I don't want that. Right. And it bothers me to no end. And that's not for everybody, but for me. So this is exciting, guys. We're getting awesome American diecast in 164. And if I read the website right, you guys are even focusing on getting the colors right as they were with the manufacturers. I mean, that's really cool to hear.
Yeah, I actually use old paint chips so I can reference the color to match it as closely as possible. Because again, it's all about accuracy for me.
So that's really cool. And
that's amazing.
Clint, did you on your list, were there some in there that you've just been itching to do for a while and had not in the past? Or
yeah, there are some that seems like, it might be either obvious that it should be done or not obvious at all. Something like, let's say like a Ford Maverick, the original from the, the 70s. They don't get a lot of love, so you don't see them a lot, and that they're, there's a market out there for them. People like that kind of stuff,
Absolutely.
But it seems to be like most of the times, you see all the same things all the time, like you mentioned a Corvette earlier. I got nothing against Corvettes, but there's so many diecast Corvettes out there. Not very many, Ford Mavericks. So just little things like that, still cool cars that have a cool, a cool history. Focus on those kinds of things too. Like on the Ford Maverick, I think like 72, Ford had a color called Anti-Establishment. That's just my favorite name for a color ever. Yeah. So just little things like that, and I like to focus on that sort of stuff, because it's the history behind them. It's that sort of, when you kind of romanticize these things a little bit, like that's one of the reasons why we like them so much. Yeah. So I just want to make sure that, everybody is going to be able to feel that when they pick up our product.
Yeah, absolutely. We're talking about IXO a bit, and it's clear that the two of you have a lot of experience in the diecast world. I'll start with Jeff. If you don't mind telling me a little bit about how you got to be in a position that sounds like, getting to be a little bit of Willy Wonka in the Chocolate Factory, kind of, getting to work with tiny cars all day is kind of the dream of a lot of our watchers and viewers. So how did you get started in this world?
Yeah, so it really was kind of by chance. So when I got out of school, I started to work for an automotive company that we were basically a material supplier to tier 2 and tier 3 molders for Japanese OEMs. So I started doing that, and then I moved into another company that was making filtration products for the big three. They were even doing it for Ferrari. And there were just a lot of technical drawings and engineering quotes and things like that you had to get back to the customer to make sure that it was going to be, work within their tolerances. And I just saw a job posting one day. I think it was back in 2000 maybe. And 2010. And so I started applying for this job, and I got it. And it was with Greenlight because they were in Indianapolis, and that's where I live. And so I was there. And in fact, I was there from 2009 until April of 24. So I've been with IXO for about a year. So I came in pretty green. And I remember I came in January of 2009, and in February of 2009, they were like, hey, we're going to send you out to a trade show that's collector focused. I think I looked like a deer in headlights because I was like, these guys are going to know way more than me. I collect a lot of sports memorabilia and sports cards and things like that. I get how passionate people are with this stuff. And I didn't want to come off as the guy that didn't know anything. So I tried to do a crash course in diecast in the first month of my job, and I knew I wasn't going to get it all. But loving the automotive industry, I was really, really excited to go. And the one thing I learned is if you're open and you want to talk, this is not a collector space where there's a lot of people that are like mean to each other, right? There's a lot of care, and I really, really enjoyed that. In fact, one of my customers when I was out there was set up right next to us, and he was like, hey man, if you don't know the answer to a question, just ask me. Or just tell the customer, hey, I'm not really sure on that yet. What do you think? And a lot of these guys want to be heard. And so I think I fell in love with it when I got back from that first one. And then some collectors were shooting me an email saying, hey, I hope you had an awesome time. Hey, here's a few ideas that I have. What do you think? And that was the type of relationship that I really value and I wanted to continue. So throughout my career, I started out as a sales guy and then just kind of had the opportunities open up to me. And the more and more, I learned about the industry. It's funny because it's not just a lot of people are like, oh, you get to play with cars all day. I get to look at item numbers and crunch numbers and make sure that we're being profitable and we're able to produce more cars,
man.
So it's really,
Clint's playing with the cars,
I'm the one playing with the cars all day.
Yep.
Clint's playing with the cars and making cool designs, and you guys are lucky that it's him and not me, because I'd open up MS Paint and it would look terrible. But yeah, I mean, and it's, to me, when I would walk down the diecast aisle, I didn't know how much work went into producing one car. I mean,
yeah,
and now I know. And so it's really, really cool. And I think that's what really has kept me interested in this industry for so long, and why I don't want to leave. And so I am truly blessed to be in the position that I am. And I told this story last year at the Super Convention. I quit my job with this filtration company and didn't have another job. And I had only applied to Greenlight. So I took a little leap of faith. And all of a sudden, boom, it happened. So, it's one of those stories that could have turned out very differently, but for luckily for me, it went the way that it did. So, definitely count my blessings every day I get to come to work.
Clint, you mentioned already that you came from a kind of baptism in motor oil type upbringing, but going from the big cars to the tiny cars, how'd you get from there to here?
Yeah, that also that came to me. I wanted to get into print design, so that was kind of my focus in school. So after I graduated, I was working at a print shop, just kind of like learn more about it, so I understand how to print things. When you're designed for printing, you need to know that. So I'm working there. I've been there for a couple of years, and the Greenlight, again, it was Greenlight, they had contacted the school that I had gone to. So they called me with this job and asked me if I'd be interested. And I was interested. I mean, they hired me there as, basically lead designer there, doing all the packaging artwork and the car artwork and all that stuff. And being a car guy and being a designer, it's like two of my passions come together and I get to make money off of it. It's just really been kind of amazing, Not many people get to do exactly what they want to do with the skills they have, so I feel blessed in that. But yeah, then I moved, just sort of by necessity, I moved into the product development there. So I've got probably about 10 years of experience in that. So yeah, I know what I'm doing.
Sounds like it.
And humble too. I love it.
Watch out, world.
All right.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
All right. So
Jeff,
go ahead.
Sorry.
Go ahead, Mark.
To piggyback off of going to the conventions and going to different places like that, what should collectors expect to see from IXO America at the Diecast Con in Las Vegas in the upcoming weeks here? What are you guys going to have for them, if you can give them any kind of information?
Yeah, absolutely. First and foremost, I just want to give a big shout out and thanks to Steve and CJ once again. I mean, that show I was talking to you about in 2009 was the very first Supercon. If you could see what it was in 2009 compared to what it is in I went last year in 2024, it's night and day, and they've done a bang up job. And something that I'm super, super happy and excited about attending again. So can't say enough good things about those guys. So what we're going to do is we're going to have 2 1-hour long sessions where we're up on stage kind of talking about things. That's where collectors are going to be able to see the first releases that we're going to come out with. So We're going to have a couple of castings that are in development right now. We'll show those off and kind of discuss why we chose those castings and hopefully what type of schemes that we're going to throw on them and everything like that. There's also going to be a launch party because we are treating this convention as kind of our launch into the U.S. market, because like a lot of you guys, maybe you don't know about IXO. And that's not, I mean, that's okay because they haven't had a big presence in the United States. So it's going to be a lot of education, but we're going to have a lot of fun. And the big thing that we want to do is get get customer feedback. We want to learn from the collector. We want to understand, what did you like about this casting? What didn't you like about that casting? Another cool thing is we've got a show exclusive that we're bringing out, and we're only limiting it to 264 pieces. So what we're going to do is you got to come to our booth. We're gonna make it one per customer for the first 2 days, I think, to allow everybody to try to get one. And then maybe on day 3, if we've got any left over, hey, whatever you guys want. But we really want a lot of people to get their hands on this. Clint did the entire design on this thing. He did the casting selection, tiny little details like on the top of the front windshield, it says first edition on it. So you'll know that, it's the very first thing that we came out with as IXO America. So it's just going to be something, that collectors can have in their collection for years to come and kind of think back to that 2025 Supercon. And again, like we were talking earlier, we want to understand what people's expectations are on this chase program. So I'm really, really excited that we have an opportunity to showcase there.
We're excited to meet you in person.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely.
And to see all these, and I'm gonna try to sneak in early and get in line to get one of those cars.
Get behind
fight
me, man.
somebody if I have to.
Well, what Clint didn't tell you is in a former life he was a bodyguard, so you may need to.
Yeah.
Oh boy. Well, yeah.
Joking.
You've been warned.
Right.
Fight.
There might be some elbows thrown after they see what's coming out. So, so we've kind of danced around this a little bit, but can we talk a little bit about the initial lineup of cars that has been selected? What we can be expecting? I'm sure there might be some surprises along the way too.
Don't touch that dial. Diecast Breakdown will be right back after these messages. Diecast Breakdown is produced in partnership with TWYCE Diecast and Driven Dreams Org on YouTube. Check out their channels in the video description and subscribe for more epic Diecast content.
Hey, this is Larry Wood.
This is Derek from Honest Diecast.
Hey, this is Chad Reed from Round 2.
This is Mike from Gaslands.
The SRT Jovita Show.
This is Champion DJ K.
This is Mad Vision here.
This is Diecast Dude.
And you're watching Diecast Breakdown.
And now, the thrilling conclusion of this week's episode of Diecast Breakdown.
Yeah, definite surprises. We're actually waiting until our announcement at the Supercon.
Okay.
We really want to be out in front of the collector when we announce this stuff, kind of see their reaction, like face to face, take active customer questions, things of that nature. And what's really cool is we've kind of ranked the first batch of cars that Clint has created. So it was, boom, 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 boom. We went through the list and we ranked them. But that ranking can change, right, based on what customer feedback is. And shoot, maybe there's a car out there that a customer suggests that we don't even have on our list. That maybe it's like, hey, this is so good, we want to bump it up to the next in the queue.
So like a 1964 Plymouth Valiant 2-door sedan, perhaps.
Perhaps
that
would
be maybe not.
That's Chuck's baby right there. You'll have to see some pictures. We'll show you some pictures. I'll
send you a link to my car. I've had
he'll send you some paint chips, Clint. Don't eat them. Use them. Use them to
not for eating,
color.
Clint. Yeah,
I had a '64 Plymouth Savoy 4-door in high school, and I loved it.
Mine was my car in high school too. I've had it for over 25 years.
Nice.
So
can we just say, Clint, you killed the show car. The 2019 Challenger Hellcat SRT is out. Go to the Diecast Supercon site, but also go to Diecast Media Network. We've got awesome pictures of that. Clint, that thing is amazing. And a heck of a introduction to the line, to the brand. I think you guys hit a home run right out of the gate. So can you, Clint, maybe from a production side, it's really interesting for us to hear, not the whole process, but, maybe the bullet point and how that goes from your head to a blister pack.
Yeah, that's not a very easy question.
Right.
You're welcome.
In 30 seconds, please.
Right. So, so it goes from like the idea, like in my head, and then I put it down and I try to determine like what all can be done with it. because I want to be able to, maximize the mold. So I want to be able to do as much as possible, So instead of focusing on, I don't know, like let's say a 69 GTX, I'll do a 69 and a 68 because they're so similar. You can get, all that out of it. So that kind of stuff, I like to do that. So I'll kind of like make a list of all the things that can be done. I'll go through and I'll, find out the colors. I'll cross-index, what years and what colors, and, get all that. Put all that together, and just basically put together like a little, I don't know, we call it a job bag, but it's just all the information, the dimensions, again, all the different bits and pieces that make it what it is and can make it more, and then just kind of like, pass it along to the people who develop the molds, and then go through all that and, a little bit of back and forth, getting them to look good, get them right. And then, then I move into the design stage where I'm going to, whatever if it needs a logo for the package or what the package is going to look like, if I'm going to like sort of tie in some sort of like history to it or some sort of like, there's a meaning to this car. So here, put that on the package. And then, that just all kind of gets tied up and produced, and then it's out of my hands at that point. But yeah.
Fair enough. After everybody's oohing and awing in Vegas and throwing their money at you, when do we think we might actually start getting cars in hand? Any idea on that?
Yeah, so David, you brought up a good point about the 164th semi trucks that you saw. I know exactly which customer you were at. Good guy. So the cool thing is working with IXO model cars, they've already got these licenses locked up. So we don't really have to hunt for any OEM licenses, which is
that's great. Yeah,
a fantastic asset. I mean, I can't tell you how difficult it is to obtain some of these licenses. So it really is a great advantage to be working with these guys. We do have some 64 scale semi trucks like the Kenworths and the Max and things like this available for pre-order on our B2B website for our wholesale and distributor network. So you guys may have seen some of these out there and not realize these were IXO America things. They haven't been delivered yet, but we're anticipating those to be here in early Q2. So the container is, the production's getting wrapped up, the container's being put together, all that good stuff. And the cool thing is they're, exclusive U.S. paint schemes. So, even though it might be a same casting, it's something that we're doing a little bit different, which is really cool. So that stuff will be out at the beginning of Q2. The new 164th scale vehicles, those should be out towards the end of Q2, beginning of Q3 of 2025. So that's when you should be able to start seeing some of that stuff out in the marketplace.
Awesome. Great news.
Very cool. All righty. So we got the rollout coming. You've got all this stuff coming out. Like, what about the diecast for people who haven't been, and that's a lot of people? What is Diecast Supercon to you, and what about it would you tell somebody to encourage them to go?
It's just a bunch of like-minded people that enjoy the same thing getting together, and it's kind of like a family reunion. I've seen the same collectors every time I've gone, and they remember me and I remember them. I may not remember their name, but it's funny because one guy comes around and I just know him as the Camaro guy. Mm-hmm. Like, I know that he collects Camaros. And if I see him, I'll remember where I put, a certain car, and I'm like, hey, do you have this one or something like that? So it really is a time to just celebrate the hobby and enjoy time together. And what's really cool is, they sell out the entire hotel. So Sure. You're not fighting with, other patrons that are there on vacation to just drink for 3 days and gamble their life away. Right? You're there with people that are actually wanting to be involved in the show and wanting to be on the show floor. So it's just really cool because you don't have any outside distractions. So if you're a diecast nerd, that's the place to be.
Very well said.
We agree for sure.
Yeah. Clint, do you have any other feedback?
No, I would say that's exactly accurate. Last year was my first time going. So I was really impressed by the way it was put together. It's such a professional event. You feel welcomed, and like Jeff was saying, everybody there, they're just like you. So there's no conflict, Yeah.
One other cool thing I've seen is a lot of collectors try to help other collectors out by like, hey, I know you collect these things. You've got your completists that want everything. And then you've got your guys that focus on a certain make, model, year, or just, hey, I collect everything Challenger, something like that. There's a lot of guys that I know. And with you guys, you were talking about donating 20,000 cars. That's absolutely amazing. I've seen guys that have like 10, 12, 20 cars that they've saved up for their buddy over the last year, and they just show up and they give them to him. And I'm just like, man, there's not a lot of hobbies out there that people would show this type of kindness. So that's really cool to see too. So that's just something that, if you're on the fence about going, it's in the connected world we live in, and so many Facebook groups and Instagram pages and all this stuff. It's easy to find the like-minded people, and it's just super cool to see the community come together at an event like this, and a lot of folks just helping each other out.
No doubt.
Yeah, well said.
Yeah, I have no hesitation saying, I found the best hobby for me, and really, it's just a really overall cool, chill group of dudes. We all have that common bond. It doesn't matter who we vote for. It doesn't matter where we go to church on Sunday, or if we go at all. It doesn't matter. We all like cars. We all like four wheels, sometimes three or two, for those weirdos out there. But for the most part, we all love car. We all grew up loving cars, and we all had that brand with the flame in our hand when we were kids, running it down a track or building little shoebox cities in our bedroom. So you're right. That is such a like-minded community, and it's helped a lot of us, I don't know, just enjoy life. But I don't know why I'm rambling. I was asking you, now that we know when cars will actually be in the packaging and ready to buy, tell the people where they will be able to buy them. Are you going to see these in big box stores, or are these going to be through online marketplaces? How is IXO America going to get their cars into the collector's hands?
Yeah, so at the beginning, it's going to be through our wholesale and distributor network. So through online shops and things like this. Actually, one of our sister companies is Fairfield Collectibles. Yeah. So they're going to have everything that we make, readily available online there. But there's a lot of other companies that we're working with. We've got a really solid network. And what's amazing to me is, we reached out to a lot of people that I've known for a number of years, and then some that I've never heard of before. All of a sudden, boom, an email will pop up in my inbox, and I was like, oh, hey, what site do you run? Show me your business, and I'll go check it out. We'll get them set up as long as they meet all the criteria, and we're good to go. We're really focusing on getting these into the hands of the hardcore collector first and foremost before we start thinking about expanding into the mass retail arena and everything like that. So it's going to be a homegrown process, but I think that's how you can adapt quicker if you launch that way, as opposed to just going straight to mass retail. So that's the strategy, and we're going to roll with it and do the best that we possibly can with it.
They're going to eat them up. Okay, guys, when we start to see these things online and we want to know where to go to get them, give us the name of the website so that we'll bookmark it and collectors can go to it. And then I've got a follow-up question after you tell us about that website.
Yeah, so the best site to search for is IXOmodels.com. That will take you to the IXO Model Cars homepage where they update everything IXO America for us.
And I did see, if I could, just real quick, when I went on that site earlier today, there's some big news on there about being the official brand for one of the biggest sporting events in the U.S. So tell us about it, Jeff. What other news has IXO America got for that?
Yeah, it's something close to my heart, and I know Clint's heart, and another guy that we work with. Being here in Indianapolis, IXO Model Cars is the official manufacturer and supplier for the NTT Data IndyCar Series. And we're super excited about it. If you've never been to the Indy 500, make it a bucket list thing, because it's you and 350,000 of your closest friends jammed into this motorsport park, and it's a thing of beauty. We're making 1/18th and 1/64th scale replicas, both super speedway and road course in both scales. It's the road course in 64th has never been offered before, so that's something brand new to the industry, and something that we're really proud of. So you're going to be able to see the road course liveries on road course tooling, as opposed to trying to fit it onto a super speedway. But I mean, what's there not to like? It's 33 cars going over 220 miles an hour. I mean, it's incredible. I don't know if any of you have been, but
never been.
I've been to over a dozen, and no matter how many times I've gone, I still get goosebumps when I walk through those gates and you sit down. You see, I have a group of guys that I see one time per year, and that's on Carb Day, the Friday before the race. And they have the last practice before the 500, and then they have a pit stop competition. It's just incredible.
Yeah. I think we have a Indy race here in Birmingham at the Barber Motorsports, and I've been, and it's an awesome sound to have ringing in your head, when you drive home.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and what's really cool is they just signed a contract with Fox Sports starting in 2025. So it's going to be a heck of a lot easier for fans to find races on TV. And they've put a lot of effort into pushing the series and the Indy 500. And to be a part of something like that, to offer up the models, it's super, super cool. And I love working with the league. I love working with the teams. There's a lot of really cool people that are involved in the series, and it's just so much fun to be a part of.
Yeah, what a good get for IXO America, man.
Yeah, we're awesome. Super proud, super happy, and like I said, I can't wait to see these things on the shelves in the Speedway, because it'll be kicked off for the Indy 500. So that's the first time you're going to be able to get the IXO model cars diecast is at the Indy 500, and then all the races after.
So cool. Well, that's awesome. And, really cool to see, something that's been around for a while reinvent itself a bit, and then, take on these new licenses and bring in these new lines and, bring it all here in the US and then take it out back to the world. That is super duper cool. And really counting the days now until I can be out in Vegas and see y'all and see the announcement. I can't wait to see what you got lined up. So for people who want to know and want to follow and all that stuff, what are the best ways that they can find, follow, get in touch with you guys, all that good stuff?
Yeah, if you go to the IXOModelCars.com, they've got links to all the social medias. There's a really good Facebook presence, really good Instagram presence. There's a guy that his specific job is photography, social media, video production, things like that. So you're going to see a lot of really cool content coming up specifically for the IXO America.
Clint, did you want to give out your cell number for people to send in their suggestions?
I was going to say, you're going to get some requests. I'm afraid
it's 1-900.
Hey,
I'd love to. It's
you can request a new request a car at like $500 a minute on this 1-900 line.
Yeah, exactly. No, but we really are, looking forward to meeting a lot of people, and like you said, counting down the minutes until Vegas. We are too. I mean, we're super pumped. It's going to be the first time that we're going to be out in the public as IXO America. We've got a trade show coming up next week in Nuremberg for the Germany Toy Fair, so we'll be over there. But when we're back, we're in Vegas, and it's the first time that we're going to be doing a collector show, so we're amped.
Now, did you guys do any of the in-room trading? Did y'all walk the halls at night and see all the selling going on in the rooms?
Yeah, I think it's hard to avoid.
Here it is.
Hey, come here.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah,
red lights in the room.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's interesting. There's people that have stuff from I mean, just years ago, and it's stuff that I haven't seen forever too. Like I remember working on projects, and Clint too. Mm-hmm. You'll see something, and my brain will instantly be taken back to, oh, I remember working on this, right? And if it was especially a lot of the promo projects and things like that, and hey, how'd you get your hands on that? These were only sent to these guys. There's always a way, right? There's always a way that the collector gets their hands on these things. So it's really interesting to hear the story, because I remember working on those projects. So hopefully in another 20 years, I'll be seeing the IXO America stuff, and we can reminisce about tonight too, right?
Well, there you go.
Yeah. I just like to reiterate to everyone, if you're watching this, go to Vegas, try it out, get the time off of work, quit your job. All right.
Hey, hold on.
Don't
sell
quit
your
job.
house. No, seriously, it's like we weren't able to make it last year. I had my little girl last year, so it was, she was just newborn. So this year we're bringing her with. She's going to turn 1 on the way back. So it'll be fun to have her there and have her see all that stuff. She loves diecast cars, messing with them, but it's a really fun thing, because we all have the same passion, whether it's little cars or big cars. Anyone that collects little cars likes big cars. Anyone that has big cars likes little cars, because you can always hand them out. So we all understand each other. But yeah, I'm excited. I think when we went, there was the toy show, right? That was like the second day or something like. But that's not a thing anymore.
All diecast. So
it's all diecast all the time. You can meet some of your, the designers. You can meet Clint that's making these cars. He's going to be your new favorite designer. So get his autograph now. Yeah. But it's just really worth doing, because my wife and I have been looking forward to going, and we're taking some time off and leaving all the worries behind and just going to have fun and meet people. So it's worth checking out. It's even if you make it out for like a day or whatever, just to see things, rip through it. So I just encourage people to go check it out. Meet Jeff, meet Clint, meet us.
Get your Challenger.
Yeah,
that's right.
Challenger.
All right. Well, cool. Well, again, Jeff and Clint, thank you so much for being with us today on Diecast Breakdown. Of course, folks, you can find the links to everything down in the description below. And while you're down there, make sure you're hitting the thumbs up and the like, the subscribe. The share button is a really good one. If you've got some friends that you think would like to know some more about IXO America, or just tiny cars in general, a great way to inform them and help the show out is to share it with your friends and your Facebook groups and wherever it is that tiny cars are discussed and loved. Again, we want to thank you for making it to the end of another episode of Diecast Breakdown. Make sure you leave a comment saying you're part of the shutdown crew for Diecast Breakdown. We always like seeing if people make it to the end or not, that they give us a little nod, and we like to respond and thank them for sticking with us. And again, thank you to our patrons that make the show go. You can learn more about that, of course, again at diecastbreakdown.com, and of course drivendreams.org. Check that out. We're gonna really knock it out of the park this year. We've had a lot of really great response over the last couple of years that Mark's done this, and I'm really excited for what's ahead for that, and we're gonna make a lot of kids real happy. So check that out. And as always, we want to thank you for coming along with us for the ride. So until next time, stay fresh, cheese bags.
Thanks for listening to Diecast Breakdown. If you enjoyed today's show, please rate us 5 stars on Apple Podcasts and tell a friend to listen in. Find Diecast Breakdown on your favorite social media platforms, or visit diecastmedianetwork.com to learn more about this and our other projects. Diecast Breakdown is a presentation of Flying Valiant and the Diecast Media Network.